Mindful Life Practice community.
So welcome to our mindful movement practice. So if you haven't gathered like all the things that you would need to make your practice comfortable, feeling free to take a moment or so to do that. I always have something to prop my seat so that I can have an easy, lengthy spine when I sit down, and some like generous padding for my kneecaps because they tend to feel tender. And then anything else that would make like the end relaxation more comfortable, or any of the poses, maybe bringing some blocks to bring the floor closer to you if you'd like. As we get started tonight, just know that the like movements and the sequences that I will be inviting us to partake in are totally optional. So feeling free to move differently or move more or less, depending on what it is that your body is craving tonight, and depending on the feedback that your body is giving you as we take shapes and transition in between them. So finding a comfortable seated shape here. We'll start by taking a few semicircles with the neck. So perhaps inhaling to let the left ear drop over toward the left shoulder, and then exhaling to let the chin fall toward the chest, and inhaling over toward the right side, and then exhaling the head back to center. And let's take a few breaths here, moving the neck, letting the breath guide the movement, maybe lingering in anywhere that feels good. And whenever you feel balanced, you can return the head and the neck back to center, perhaps bringing fingertips out to the side, and we'll take a few sun breaths together. So we can inhale to circle the arms up above, perhaps palms come to touch. And with the exhale, we can bring the hands through prayer down the front of the body and then down our sides. So let's take two more, inhaling to circle the arms up and exhaling the hands back down. Inhaling to circle up, perhaps gazing at the hands, and exhale to bring the hands back down. So bringing the fingertips of the left hand to the side, lifting the right arm up. With the next exhale, we can bring our body into a gentle side bend over to the left. You're trying to maintain length on both sides of the body, trying to leave the shoulders in line with one another, and perhaps checking in with the head and neck, and finding that sweet spot. With the next inhale, we can rise both arms up, torso in line with the hips, and we can exhale to side bend over to the other side. So gently bending over to the right, and then checking in with the shoulders, and perhaps bringing gentle movement into the head and neck. We can inhale back to center, bring both arms up, bringing palms together. And with the exhale, we can bring the hands in front of the chest and gently twist over to the left. Then we can inhale back to center and gently twist over to the right. Let's take two more full rounds going side to side. Maybe noticing how this movement feels into the body, and into the breath. Relaxing the hands back down when we're done our 2 rounds. Perhaps pushing the prop away from underneath the seat, and then we'll all make our way onto hands and knees. So coming into our tabletop shape. And before we find stillness, maybe inviting some gentle movement. Perhaps it's rocking front to back, side to side, or drawing some like circles around the wrists and the hips. So just taking a few breaths to bring motion into the wrists and into the hips. And when you're ready, we can pause into a tabletop shape. So opening the fingers wide, pressing the ground away from us with the hands, the knees, and the toes can be curled or uncurled depending on what feels best into your body. And then we'll take a few rounds of cat and cow to bring some movement into the spine. So we can inhale to curl the tailbone up, dropping the belly, shining the heart forward, looking up. And with the exhale, we'll round the tailbone, broaden the back body, and letting the head and neck go. Let's take 5 more rounds following our own breaths, inhaling to broaden the front body, and exhale to broaden the back body. Maybe taking one more full round if you've lost count. And we can all meet into a strong table shape whenever we're done that final round. And then if the wrists need a little break from bearing like our body's weight, we can back the seat toward the heels, or if not, we can stay strong into our tabletop shape. And next, I'll invite us to curl the toes under if they're not already there. And then we can inhale to hover the knees and then press the seat up and back, maybe elongating the legs and finding a reverse V shape or a downward dog. So here, finding any movement, maybe swaying the hips, settling the feet, and maybe just a note, like if we have to look at the screen, like to check in with me before you start moving, trying to do so without bearing weight onto the hands and the arms to protect their neck and avoid like feeling the effects of that tomorrow. So taking one more full breath into our downward dog. And when we're ready, we can keep the legs as they are, or maybe bring a generous bend into the knees, and we'll slowly walk the hands back toward the back of the mat to meet the feet. And when we're here, we'll come into our forward fold. So we can bend the knees generously, folding at the hips, letting the chest waterfall over the legs, perhaps gently shaking the head side to side. And we can stay still here, or we can hook the thumbs into the elbows and maybe rock gently side to side. Just noticing how we feel into the shape with the next few breaths here. And then pausing in center, perhaps releasing the arms if we were hooking the thumbs and the elbows. And then there's 2 ways that we can come up to stand. If our lower back is tender, we can bend the knees generously, like lifting with the chest and then pressing ourselves up. Or we can slowly rise, kind of like uncurling and unfolding the spine onto itself. So taking like full breaths as we rise. And once we stand, perhaps rolling the shoulders back And then front for a breath or two. Next, I'll invite us to take a few slow, mindful steps to walk ourselves all the way to the top of our mat. And when we land, finding that sweet spot for the feet, maybe it's at hip width distance or a little bit farther or closer. And then we can do what we call like bamboo in the wind. So perhaps again swaying in like gentle circles with the body. And finding that place where we can like distribute the weight of our body into all surfaces of the feet. And then finding that length into the entire body, relaxing the shoulders down and relaxing the muscles of the face. And this is our standing mountain. Next, we'll start moving more and more and breaking down our basic sun salutation series. So with the next inhale, we can circle the arms up, bringing palms together. And then exhale to bring palms in front and then bring your hands back down to our sides. With the next inhale, circling the arms up. And we'll exhale to fold over the legs. So coming into our forward fold, knees bent, folding at the hips. With the next inhale, we'll trace the front of the shins, pressing hands onto shins or onto thighs. And here you want to find like length into the spine and broadening the collarbone, kind of encouraging the shoulders away from the ears. And with the next exhale, we'll fold over the legs again, finding our forward fold. With the next inhale, we'll rise to stand, either with straight legs or perhaps bending the knees. And we'll exhale to bring hands through prayer and back down our sides. And we'll keep adding to this, inhaling to circle the hands up. And exhale to fold over the legs. Inhale to press hands into shins, halfway lift. And we'll exhale to fold, plant the hands on the floor, and then we'll take a few steps back to find the top of our plank or our push-up pose. And then we can be toes together, toes apart, or starting with knees onto the ground, patting the knees if needed. And again, pressing the ground away from us as we did into a tabletop shape. And trying to find length into the collarbone and into the back of the neck. Taking one more inhale here if it's accessible to us. And with the next exhale, keeping the bodies in a straight line, we'll slowly lower to come all the way down to the ground. Then uncurling the toes, zipping the legs together, pressing onto the tops of the feet and pelvis. We can inhale to lift the head, and perhaps the front of the chest. Again, like relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. This is our baby cobra. And with the next exhale, we can come down all the way down to the ground. With the next inhale, we can press ourselves up into our table or into our push-up. Just adjusting the placement of the front body. And then curling the toes under. With the next exhale, we'll pipe the seat up, finding our downward dog or our reverse V shape. And taking a few breaths here in stillness or in motion. Really pressing the ground away from us with hands and toes. Knees can be bent generously and heels don't have to touch. As long as everything's engaged so that we're not collapsing into the hands and feet. And then we have the option to stay or to balance the weight of the body between the two hands and the left foot. With the next inhale, we can rise with the right leg, pointing the toes, trying to keep hips level with one another, finding our three-legged dog. And then again, optional to come to a modified plank. So shifting the weight of the shoulders over the wrists, bringing the right knee to the chest. And then we'll all step or hike the right foot to bring it between the hands, softening the back knee down. And then we can bring our hands onto our leading legs and set up into our low lunge. So pressing into the surface that make connection with the ground, growing tall, from the ground up, and trying to have the front knee track toward the second or third toe. That's always a good kind of guideline for the placement of the knee once we start to sink and bend the legs. And the hands can come down by our sides. We can take a few breaths with the arms up and kind of activating the side body and externally rotating the top of the arms to make this like a really active pose all the way from the ground up. I'm taking one more inhale here. And with the exhale, we'll frame the front foot, bringing palms onto the floor, curling the toes under. With the next exhale, we can come into a high lunge into the legs. So coming on to fingertips, perhaps. And from our high lunge legs, maybe bringing our hands onto our hips. And when we're ready, we can rise all the way up. And then there's the option to stay in the low lunge too. And if the front of the left leg or the lower back are tight, we can bend the back knee a little or a lot. Again, arms can come down or arms can come up. Let's take one more full breath here. And with the next exhale, I'll invite us to bring the right arm in front, left arm back, and then turn the back foot so that the toes face the long edge of the mat, setting up into a warrior two stance. So perhaps readjusting the feet if needed, trying to encourage the hips away from one another and checking in with that front knee again. Then let's start shifting from here like into our extended side angle. So we can bring the front palm or elbow onto the leading leg. And then we can travel like down with the chest, lifting the left arm above the head. And try to like draw a straight line from the left foot all the way up to the left fingertips. With the next inhale, we can rise into our warrior two. And this time, softening the back arm down, flipping the front palm up. We can exhale to side bend, but travel with the torso toward the back of the mat. And again, trying to invite length on both sides of the body, letting the breath be your guide, whether we can go further or if we should come out a little bit. And with the next inhale, we'll rise back into our warrior two. And then I'll invite us to heel toe the left foot closer to the right. And then we'll kind of start playing into a like star or half moon balance. So keeping the arms opened out, palms facing the left side of the room, we can keep the left heel or bring it closer to the leg. And then we can start like shifting and bouncing our weight onto the right leg, and then lifting that left leg, kind of toppling toward the floor. And then maybe we fall back a few times and we set back up, and then just playing into our star shape. And let's take a few breaths to do that. Opening the arms wide, pressing into the back foot, and perhaps finding a point of focus onto the ground that doesn't move and that allows us to find maybe a breath in stillness. And when we're ready, we'll all topple back and step to the top of the mat. And then maybe here it may feel good to kind of bounce a few times or like sway side to side, letting the arms travel front and back, and maybe grabbing a sip of water before we repeat this onto the other side. So finding ourselves back into our standing mountain pose at the top of the mat. Then we'll flow into the sequence on the other side. So With the next inhale, we can circle the arms up, perhaps bringing palms together to touch. And exhale to fold over the legs into our forward fold. With the next inhale, we'll halfway lift, press hands to shins. Then exhale to fold, plant the hands, stepping back to the top of a push-up on toes or on knees. Let's take one more inhale here, and with the next exhale, we'll slowly travel to find the chest onto the ground. And then zipping the legs together, pressing into tops, the feet and pelvis. We'll inhale to rise with the head and chest, finding your baby cobra. And with the next exhale, we can relax onto the ground. We'll inhale ourselves into table or push-up. And exhale to curl the toes under, pike the seat up, finding our downward dog. Or perhaps finding rest. And let's take 3 breaths here, in motion or in stillness. And I'm feeling that right thigh, so it's a signal for the left thigh to know what's coming. And an option to stay strong into a downward dog, or to inhale and lift the left leg to a degree, pointing the toes. And an option to travel to modified plank, bringing left knee to chest. And we'll all step and hide the left foot between the hands, softening the back knee down and setting up into our low lunge on this side. So pressing from the ground up, left knee tracking for the second or third toe. Arms can come down, or we can lift the arms up and take a few breaths into this shape. With the next exhale, we'll bring the hands and palms down onto the ground, curling the toes of the back foot under. Perhaps exhale to press yourselves up, staying onto palms or coming onto fingertips, finding high lunge into the legs. Then back leg can be fully extended, or we can have a gentle bend to the knee, bringing hands onto the hips, and we'll slowly rise with the chest, finding our high lunge. Then arms can come down or come up. And again, back knee can be bent a little or a lot, depending on how that side is feeling. And with the next exhale, we'll open the arms out, left arm to the front and right arm to the back. And then turn the back foot so that the toes are facing the right side of the room. And then checking in with our left knee again. Option to stay here or to come into our extended or forearm coming onto the thigh. And then traveling with the chest. And about a 45-degree angle, rising with the right arm. And finding a few breaths here. Like finding length and strength. And rising back to our warrior 2 with the next inhale when you're ready. And then we'll soften the back arm down, flip the front palm up. And we'll come into a reversed warrior, kind of bending toward the back of the mat with the chest. Feeling our legs work, perhaps bringing a smile to our face. Then we'll inhale ourselves back into our warrior 2 when ready. And then we can heel toe the back foot, come closer to the front. And then opening the palms toward the right side of the room, we can start to kind of play and balance into our star, our half moon onto this side. It's like opening arms wide, pressing into the right foot. Be imagining helpers, bringing length and stability into our body. And maybe we topple in and out for a few breaths. And when we're ready, we can slowly rise and step to the top of the mat. And here, spending a few breaths, maybe rolling shoulders back, bring a gentle bounce into the legs, maybe swaying side to side. Well, let's like looking at the clock here. Let's flow back down to the mat. I think our legs. It feels like they've worked a lot, and then we'll do a bit of flowing and stretching before we find our rest. So from our standing pose, we can inhale to circle the arms up above. Then we'll exhale to fold over the legs. We can inhale to halfway lift, pressing hands to shins, broadening the collarbone. And then exhale to plant hands down. Then we can step back with the feet. Oh yeah, let's float totally. Finding the top of our plank. Maybe knees come down, taking one more inhale here. And then we can exhale to come all the way down to the ground. And zipping the legs together, we can inhale to rise for a baby cobra. And exhale to relax back down. Inhaling to press ourselves up one last time to table or push up. And exhale to curl the toes under, press the seat back. Let's take 3 more breaths into this shape, in motion or in stillness. And to reverse, like what we did at the beginning, there's always the option here to stay in downward dog or to find rest. Or I'll invite us to kind of solidify the weight of the body into the right hand. And then perhaps gently lifting the left palm up, or perhaps traveling with the left hand toward the front of the right shin. Hello, body. We are alive. And then resting that left hand back down. And then perhaps like hovering the knees down. Or flowing like through a plank and back to your downward dog. And then we'll do this onto the other side. So anchoring into the left hand, perhaps lifting the right hand gently, or traveling toward the front of the left shin with it. And resting that right hand back down. And then we can inhale to hover into a table. And then exhale to soften the knees. Maybe taking a few rounds of cat and cow here. So inhaling to drop the belly looking up. And exhale to curl under. Taking a few more rounds following your own breath. And after your next round, we can find our strong table. And here I'll invite us to find a shape that brings a lot like of stretch into the front of the chest and shoulders. So trying to leave the knees and the hips in line, we can walk the hands out in front of us as far as they will go. And perhaps staying high, or perhaps starting to soften and hover the chest and the chin to the floor. And if it's accessible to us, perhaps resting the front of the body onto the floor, coming onto forehead or chin. And whenever we're ready to come out of this shape, we can gently rise with the head and then slide the hands to come closer to the shoulders. And then I'll invite us to find a child's pose, kind of round into the back. So perhaps bringing legs together and knees to touch, or widening the legs, toes uncurled. And then we'll slowly rest and encourage the seat to go towards the toes. And then again, softening the chest toward the ground, perhaps staying high, or perhaps stacking fists or hands underneath the forehead. And just taking a few breaths here. allowing the body to soften as we transition out of our active practice and into stretching and relaxation. Perhaps taking 3 more full breaths here. When you're ready to transition out of this pose, perhaps like gently bringing the hands back underneath the shoulders, and then slowly pressing yourselves up, then releasing the heels over to one side and the seat to the other. And then walk and bring the seat about at the middle point of the mat. Then we'll prepare to do a few stretches lying down on our backs. So perhaps grabbing onto the back of the legs and then slowly rolling back down, finding ourselves into a little ball or into a little cocoon. And then keeping the right knee close to the chest, perhaps holding on with fingers interlaced under the knees. You can soften the sole of the left foot, knee bend onto the floor. Then encouraging the right knee toward the chest while keeping like some softness into the neck and shoulders. Or perhaps you would like to slide the left heel all the way down and elongate the left leg. And just noticing the sensations into the lower body. And then bending the left knee if it was elongated and bring the sole of the left foot back onto the floor. We'll release the right knee and open that bent right leg out to the side, resting the sole of the right foot onto the left leg, coming into like a figure four shape, and then encouraging the right knee away from us, reading with the sensations into the right hip and right glute. Perhaps the legs stay where they are. We can inhale them as a little gift package toward the chest, holding on to the outside of the legs, or perhaps interlacing the fingers behind the left thigh. So wherever we are, like keeping the right foot flexed and encouraging the right knee away from the chest. And when you're ready, you can release the sole of the left foot down, followed by the sole of the right foot. Maybe taking a breath or two to integrate, perhaps widening the feet and letting the knees soften toward one another. Or taking a few moments to bring any other stretches that would feel good into the body. When you're ready, we'll move into this little sequence onto the other side. So bending the right knee, bringing the left knee toward the chest, and holding on to wherever it is that we can hold on. Perhaps lengthening and sliding the right heel down. And we'll take a few breaths here with left knee toward the chest into our wind relieving pose. The right leg is long, we'll bend the knee and place the sole of the foot down. And then externally rotating that left leg. So we come onto figure 4 on this side, encouraging the left knee away from the chest. Staying here or bringing legs closer to the chest. Placing the hands wherever it feels comfortable along the legs or behind the right thigh. When you're ready, we can relax the right foot down, followed by the left. Perhaps taking a full body stretch with the next inhale. And exhaling to bring the knee into the chest one last time. And then we'll prepare to move into a gentle twist on both sides. So perhaps bringing a blanket or a cushion that we can place under the knees or between the knees. We'll open the arms out to the side in a T shape. Palms can face up or down. And with the next exhale, we can gently let the knees fall over to the right. And then perhaps use that right arm to encourage the left shoulder to reconnect with the floor. Perhaps gently turning the head over to the left. We'll take a few moments here to soften and to allow the body to receive the stretch. Taking 3 more full breaths on this side. To return to center, we can gently lift the head back up and then engaging the core slightly to bring the knees back up above the chest and perhaps readjusting so that the hips feel like they are in a straight line down from the shoulders. And then with arms open, we'll let the knees fall over to the left and then propping underneath or between the knees if needed. And encouraging the right shoulder to come closer to the floor and letting the head gently fall over to the right. Again, inviting some softness as the body receives this twist. Taking 3 more full breaths on this side. When you're ready to come out, gently returning the head to center, followed by the knees. Perhaps taking a few breaths curled up into a little ball, inviting any other gentle movements that the body may be craving. Next, I'll invite you to find a restful pose of your choice, using all the cushions and the props close by, finding a place where you can land comfortably for the next few minutes, whether that's on your back, on your side, or on the nearest comfortable piece of furniture in your room. Inviting some calm and some ease throughout the entire body, in our breath, in our mind, and in our heart. Support us in silence and bring us back with my voice. Taking 3 more full breaths, dwelling in the present moment. When you're ready, you can start to deepen the breath and then inspire some gentle movements, reawaken the body. few more moments to wiggle, to stretch, or to curl over to one side. We'll all make our way into a comfortable seated posture or other comfortable posture to close our practice together. Softening the gaze, muscles of the face and the shoulders when we arrive. Taking the next few breaths to notice what's alive in you, the other side of our practice. Perhaps next bringing palms together at heart center, pressing thumbs into the chest, bowing the head gently, taking a few moments to express gratitude to yourself for showing up to your mat, and for all the beings and opportunities that made this gathering possible. When you feel complete, soften the hands, flutter the eyes open, and return the head back to center. Thank you so much for joining me in practice tonight. My name is Marie, and this is our Mindful Flow One Monday practice. I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, your night, and your week. And until we meet again,